got you! Hello my lunatics, and welcome to my 2017 year in review. And boy, what a doozy this year has been. We had great movies like Get Out, War for the Planet of the Apes, Wonder Woman, and Blade Runner 2049, just to name a few. We also had the return of DuckTales, Samurai Jack, and Mystery Science Theater 3000. But most importantly, we've had a lot of remarkable games that came out this year. So, like in my previous videos, I won't list off the best games of 2017, but list off the games I had the fine opportunity of playing this year. But just to clarify, I couldn't have possibly played every single game that came out, so if you don't see a game mentioned, chances are I haven't played it yet. Also, no remasters like Crash Insane Trilogy, just to be safe. So, with all that said, here's the games that I had to play in 2017. The Nintendo Switch has finally came out this year, but this game had to become the system seller for this console handheld hybrid. Does it deliver? Absolutely, 110% yes! This game is practically the most open world Zelda game ever, and you can do almost whatever you want. You fight with sticks or bone arms, and you can surf down steep slopes with your shield. But if you're not careful, you'll die. A lot. In the stupidest or frustrating ways possible. And you know what? I still had a fantastic time. Never have I ever had an experience like this in any open world game since Just Cause 2 or the Infamous series. Exploration is fun because you get rewarded with new locations to discover and secrets to uncover. Combat is fresh because you need to think on your feet and be smart with your attacks and not go around sword swinging. And yet, I still haven't finished this game. Yeah, so what? I got a huge backlog. Breath of the Wild is a breath of fresh air. Take a breath and play this game. You won't be disappointed. In fact, I call this my Switch Game of the Year! Oh, speaking of open world games, Sony has their version of Zelda, technically. Just replace Link with a red-headed girl named Aloy with a huge knack for archery, and replace all the fantasy with sci-fi. I have a hunch that not many played this game due to Breath of the Wild also being released almost within the same time frame. If that's true, then that's a damn shame because this game is awesome. You're not just shooting down robotic deer, saber-tooths, or crocodiles. You're also shooting electrical and ice slingshot ammo, and creating explosive wire traps to take down giant metallic behemoths. It's practically Neo-Neanderthal warriors taking down mechanical monstrosities with neo-primitive weaponry. The lore behind how this world came to be is intriguing, while at the same time, it's amazing to see how humanity came back from the ashes of its impending doom. I know it sounds like I'm stroking the proverbial pole, but I had a great time with this game. Horizon Zero Dawn is a bullseye. If you don't have a Switch, but do have a PS4, this will be the closest thing you'll come to a Zelda title. That's why it's my PS4 Game of the Year. If you watched my channel for some time, you know how much of a Sonic fan I was back in the day, including my first ever top 10, which I suggest you check on the eye icon in the corner. That's why I was so excited for Sonic Mania, as it was going to be a callback to Sonic of Genesis years. Plus, this project was headed by people who worked on Sonic fan games, including Christian Whitehead, the man who masterfully ported the Sonic games onto iOS. But they succeeded, right? Hell yes it did! The game feels and plays like a Sonic game of the 16-bit era, but with new bells and whistles. Sonic has some new moves and the levels are intricately wonderful to gaze at and explore if you take your time. But I gotta give mad props to T. Lopes, the genius behind the music. You, sir, made some of the best music I've heard, including but not limited to remixing Chemical Plant Zone and Stardust Highway Zone, but also original levels like Garden Press Zone and my absolute favorite, Studiopolis Zone. In fact, let's dance! happy with how this game turned out, and I hope more Sonic games are like this. All I can say is, believe in the Mania! This game is digitally available on all systems, so get it when you can. Only because at least it's better than Forces.
It's been generations since I seen you. You okay?
Go to the next one, go to the next one!
This match will get red hot.
I knew I had to get this game when I first saw it on E3 many years ago. And to finally play this game was a real treat, as not only does this game look spectacular, the game is a roaring good time. And I mean it because this game is practically Gunstar Heroes meets Contra in a Betty Boop world. And when I say that, it means this game can be hard to master, but once you do, you'll feel like a boss. But regardless, it's just a visual feast to fight all the bosses, only to see how everything is meticulously animated frame by frame. Also, the big band soundtrack is amazing, and each fight is accentuated by these tunes. I guarantee you'll love this game. With all that said, I say gulp it down, because this game is swell. Get it on Steam or Xbox One while you can. One more thing, this game I officially give as my Indie Game of the Year. Another Kickstarter game has arrived, and I certainly hope this would not be a repeat of Mighty No. 9. So far, some herald this game for being magnificent, while some are not as enamored. As for me, I don't like this game, but I don't exactly loathe it. At first, the game plays like the games in the Nintendo 64 years, but as time progressed, it all went downhill from there. When the controls work, they work, but when they don't, it gets really aggravating. Having a huge world to explore is fun, but only on paper because once you make them bigger, it feels too big, like traversing a giant jungle gym as a 2-foot-high kid. Plus, finding the collectibles in this game don't feel rewarding or even fun searching for. Some bosses are somewhat left to be desired, but don't get me started on freaking Inept. I hate this obviously satirizing Kinect Minecart boss with a burning passion. While I do have a lot of complaints for this game, I don't necessarily want this to fail, as I do hope it gets a sequel and fixes those problems I addressed. For now, this game is no Banjo 3E, but a Banjo Patooey. It seems good at first, but the aftertaste leaves a bad impression. No offense to Platonic Games, but had I known this would have happened, I would have kickstarted a Hat in Time. Everybody's been clamoring for a new Metroid game since forever, and while we had a spin-off, fans not taking it kindly would be a colossal understatement. But when the trailer for the next installment came out, it looked like it has finally returned to its roots, and I knew I had to get it because I love the Metroid games. Super Metroid video! While this is technically a remake of Metroid 2 on Game Boy, the game feels fresh enough to be original. And I mean it's not a by-the-numbers remake with a 3DS makeover because it has new mechanics to make the game unique. The gameplay has new added features like a melee counter and Aeon abilities like Rapid Fire and Sonar Radar to find hidden collectibles. I've already beaten this game, but I'm willing to play it again just to see how efficient my next run is. All in all, Samus has returned. That's all I can say. Our favorite bounty hunter has made a comeback and I'm happy. Now we wait for the upcoming Metroid Prime 4, whenever it may show up again. This game had expectations to meet since the New Order brought Wolfenstein back by force. So is killing Nazis great again? Oh, this game delivers on that gloriously. For Fox's sake! You start off killing Nazis in a wheelchair! How much more badass can you get? Well, it all picks up from there, while shit gets real. The game is positively frenetic, and you will get killed if you're not fast enough, which happened to me because of its vague medium setting. The upgrades you get for your weapons make shootouts a lot wilder. Even near the halfway point, which I admit could do without that very midpoint level, you get some more interesting abilities and make yourself the personification of the Nazis' reckoning. You fight on the streets of New Orleans, Roswell, hell, you get to destroy Nazis in space again on Venus! What more could you ask for? For that, Wolfenstein II is das Wunderbar. If you're in the mood of shooting things, this is the game for you. I could say this game is awesome, but I think that would be doing this game a massive disservice. I mean, this game came out 6 to 7 months after the release of the Switch, yet it's this outstanding. Mario's back in full force and he carries a new hat buddy named Cappy, which can be used to fight enemies and help Mario jump longer distances. But the real highlight of Cappy is it can capture almost anything, like a frog to jump high, or become a Goomba and stack yourself on a lot of other Goombas to make a tower of Goombas. But nothing compares to the fact that within the first hour of the game, you can control a mother trucking T-Rex! But wait, there's more! Mario can purchase many costumes, and I don't remember the last time I had fun playing dress up with video game characters. Seriously, the internet went nuts just seeing Mario topless. There are far too many things to talk about how this game put a smile on my face. Mario's controls are super tight, the worlds are a treat to explore, especially New Donk City, and you can decorate your flying spaceship with decals, souvenirs. Oh, I just love this game so much! Seriously, hats off to this game. If Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild doesn't convince you to get a Switch, this game surely will. And if that still doesn't convince you, then fun must not be in your soul. Play this game for the festival level in New Donk City, and tell me that doesn't give you the biggest grin on your faces. In fact, I'm calling it. This is my Game of the Year of 2017. Well, that was fun. Now here's some other games to note. When this game was announced, people were scratching their heads with skepticism ever since the original series was canned. I was honestly sold on this game solely because the protagonist is Asian and we don't get that many Asian protagonists. But what should really matter is if this game stacks up. And yeah, it does, but it would most likely be compared to its contemporaries. While the game does look amazing, it practically plays like System Shock 2 with its inventory system, weapon loadouts, and psi abilities. But it's also Bioshock in space since the space station looks really decked out in Art Deco aesthetics in some parts. The only difference is that you're fighting against these black symbiotic mimics that can look like everyday objects, and that is kinda scary. So far I played about 4 to 5 hours of it, and this game is solid. If you're into Dishonored type games, this might be up your alley. I never paid much attention to small games on Steam, but when I saw this in my discovery queue, I thought, looks fun, and I made a good decision when buying this. It's a tad bit hard because this is a roguelike action platformer where the locales change every playthrough. So far, I only played like a couple of hours of this game, and I still haven't gotten to the second boss, but I can't put it down. I love pixelated games, especially when fighting space pirates. Plus the soundtrack is catchy and never gets old. If you have $15, get this game. I'd say it's worth your time. This series has been under a roller coaster of changing identities, and it's been pretty jarring for us gamers who's been there since the PS1 days, especially RE6. When RE7 was announced, we collectively lost our shit, especially after finding out this game is not only back to its horror roots, but it's now in first person. What I've been playing, Resident Evil 7 is basically Texas Chainsaw Massacre meets The Thing and other horror movie inspirations. Plus, the Baker family scares the ever-loving shit out of me. Seriously, I stopped playing because I'm genuinely terrified of Daddy Baker. No joke, he's worse than Jason Voorhees and Leatherface combined. Until then, I'll come back to this game. Eventually. I never grew up on Persona back in the day, primarily because I didn't own a PlayStation back then. I only knew of the accolades of the series, mostly from 4, so I had to see what the fuss is about. From what I played, it's like half school simulator, half JRPG with Pokemon elements. But what really sold me is that the game's aesthetics is bright and loud, and I'm still only on the first dungeon and I haven't faced the first Palace Master. Sorry, there's just way too many games in my backlog, but when I get some downtime, I'll get back on the Persona train. The only thing I know about Nier is that it wasn't initially well received until it eventually gained a cult following. I didn't really think this game would be all that great when I heard it was coming out. When I saw reviews, there seems to be a lot going for this game than I originally thought. For me though, most of my exposure to Nier Automata was fanfics of 2B. So much to be fanpics. So I eventually caved in and got this game, but I didn't realize this would hold on to the computer BIOS system proudly on its sleeve, and if I died, the game treated it like it was a bad ending and wrote credits. From what I mostly got out of this game is there are shooter elements, but it's mostly a hack and slash action RPG, and I should have known the action would be hectic because Platinum Games also developed this. So far, I'm only on the first mission after the prologue, and it looks promising. I'll have to see what this game has to offer in the future. And so ends my 2017 Year on Video Games review. As you can tell, there are some games I missed out on, like A Hat in Time and South Park's Fractured Hole. And sorry, PlayerUnknown's Battleground just ain't my type of game. As for the new year, there are some games coming out like Red Dead Redemption 2, the new God of War, and Spider-Man, but we'll see what the future beholds. So until then, I'm Moon Spirit, and here's a 2018 everyone. Oh, who am I kidding? One last dance!